MedBricks webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming. Welcome to the MedBricks webcast. I'm going to introduce you. I will put him in the background. Just to let me welcome to the MedBricks webcast. I'm going to bring Dr. Stefan Holler, but he is. Let me introduce him a little bit. He is a diagnostic radiologist. I used to run imaging center. I used to MRI, CT scan, ultrasound. So I know radiology business in and out a little bit. I was in the trenches for a while. So, but also he has a bigger cause he's working on. He works on, maternal mortality and infant mortality rates. He is trying to reduce around the world, particularly in the poor countries and the countries that are struggling with the healthcare access. That is what he's doing. I think Stefan Haller is one of the distinguished physicians, and they really do is a true calling. Is a true call for him. I think let me bring him. Dr. Haller, welcome to the MedBricks webcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
You have such a distinguished credentials. Very interesting for a doctor. You have dedicated almost your life to serve other people. But let us talk about a little bit of our radiology background a little bit. So you were a radiologist, diagnostic radiologist, right? For most of your things that career, you did that.
Well, I actually started out as a primary care physician, and after about 15 years or so, I decided to go into diagnostic radiology, and I never regretted that choice.
So you were reading all the mammograms and X-rays and ultrasounds and everything that you're doing all the radiology things. I've been through that trenches. I know radiology business quite. I ran my mobile CT scan center, mobile MRI, mobile mammogram. So I know the song and dance of that radiology. But I'm not a physician, but I ran the business part of it. So administrator I was. But that is the true calling is actually for you is a service. I saw that you are doing a lot of, particularly in traveling to Philippines, Mexico, Tanzania. You were traveling and doing a lot of services you're doing in these countries. What do you do exactly there in this? If you can expand that one would be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Well, I'm not the only person in the medical field who's kind of longing to, make a difference in the world. And I've been doing that while I was still active in my clinical career, on my vacation times. And I would spend like a week or two in foreign countries and with various organizations. And I would just, see patients and take care of patients, first as a primary care doctor, and then as a radiologist with, a portable ultrasound machine, and supporting other physicians who are on the same kind of mission, to take care of patients. But after, 10 plus years or so, I realized that doing that by itself is fine, but you can't really make a substantial change in the long term. That, in other words, if you go on such a medical mission for a week or two, once you're gone, everything goes back to normal. They don't see a physician again. They don't have health care. They don't get medications. So what you're really doing is kind of something really temporary, momentary, and doesn't really help people in the long run. So that's when I kind of decided that to use this mission type projects to actually teach the healthcare providers or the healthcare or the physician extenders in poor countries to do more sophisticated work so that they can help more people. Because the main problem really is in those countries that in rural areas, there are very few doctors. Doctors try to go to the cities where they can make, have a greater income. So there's usually a very poor supply of physicians in peripheral areas, and that's what we're addressing. We're training midwives and nurses in advanced techniques like point of care ultrasound, so that they can kind of fill in some of those gaps.
My father is a doctor in a small village doctor, like that is very rural village in India, southern India. He was the 2,000 population we have. The physician. My father is the only one who can read English at the time. Is a British, just got independence. My father was as a self-taught doctor, and he was a passionate about medicine. And then he was a teacher. He was English teacher. That's why he could able to read English. And then he became a doctor there, and then he was really brilliant. He was a curiosity. His curiosity, really, they wanted to be the people who want to be doctors there. He want to serve medicine. Really, they have a true dedication. My mother used to complain all the times. My father was reading a non-stop books, from around the world. And then, as you said, there is a continuation of care. It's a bigger problem. So those people, if you train them, and I fully agree with you, that is the perfect. The solution is people who come to do operations like eye operations or anything. Then they come for a few days and then leave, and then they go back to normal, as you said. That's a bigger challenge. If they can train my people like my father and the midwives, that was an impact. Is a long-term impact. Training the trainers, educating the doctors, other doctors, healthcare workforce is a key to the success of those long-term. There's a missions that you are thinking. You are absolutely on the right path on that direction. With my personal experience as a small village growing up in a village in southern India.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. So tell me, so your continuation of care, what are the other things you do? Particularly, your focus is a maternal health care. Tell me about the maternal health care, and I'll give you a story in my village. After that, just a quick story about it and how it. Just before I say, I want to tell you this one. When I was a kid, 8 years old, 10, 8 or 10, I don't exactly remember that age. My father was the only doctor in the town, and there is a woman screaming their lungs out in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we all woke up. My father is the only doctor there. He went there. And then she was screaming non-stop, and the intensity was increasing until 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, my father came back and they went silence. My father came back and said to me, they said to he was a grim face and said that what happened. He said that she died with ectopic pregnancy there. With we don't have any. There is no motor. We are in a bullock carts. We don't even have motorbikes. We have bullock carts, and that where I was growing up. I'm a real remote village I lived in. So my father doesn't have any tools. If he said that if he has a DNC, says a cycle pump or something there, he could have saved her life. And that was impacted me because her kids went to school with me. They're my classmates. It did impact, and I wrote actually a blog about that. It did impact me. So why we are, with all the money that we spend so much, and we can't save some mothers who give the life to us. And so you're doing that such a noble job. Tell us how that, what inspired you to do those kind of things.
Well, I think the story of your father is a very is unfortunately not an unusual one. That's a very common occurrence, and many mothers who pass away related to the pregnancy, uh, most of these cases are preventable. That's the tragedy about this. Like in that particular case of your that you're describing, ectopic pregnancy, if this diagnosis is made before the patient becomes symptomatic, before the rupture occurs, then there is plenty of time to treat this woman. The problem is, in rural areas, these things don't become diagnosed. Another example is placenta previa, when the placenta is in the way of the birthing canal, or unexpected twins. When these women then start to give birth, when they're uh, when the baby wants to come out, and then there's a placenta in the way. The problem is a lot of bleeding, and the placenta is a very well perfused part of the pregnancy, and these women invariably die. They pass away. They bleed out. Um, these are all things that you can diagnose beforehand. And if you diagnose them beforehand, then you can bring them to an area where they can be helped, where they can do a cesarean section, or where they can do, surgery or give medication to support these things. So what inspired me, um, I'll tell you, I noticed when I was doing my missions and I did ultrasound. Initially, I was trying to avoid pregnancies. I did, all the other diagnoses because I was a bit afraid that if I look at babies and I see some malformations, what am I going to tell those patients um, in those countries? And then I realized that, especially in the Philippines, when I went there, a lot of pregnant women actually came to me and said, all I want to know is the sex of the baby. And then I realized, actually, if those women come to you and they want to know the sex of the baby, why do I not look at those very straightforward things like twin pregnancy, placenta previa, or ectopic pregnancy? Because if I see that, I can help them. I can actually save a life. So I see 50 patients and I tell them, what kind of a sex I think that the baby has. And then I find the 51st patient that has such a complication. That is hugely rewarding. And then I realized this is not a very complicated examination to do. This examination is the very basic parts of this examination where you can make sure that you don't have such complications. And these things can be taught to midwives who deal with the mothers anyway. So there's just very, very few straightforward steps that once they are taught and once they know how to do, they will identify such cases early enough so that those women can be saved, and in many cases the babies too.
I have
So
four brothers and two sisters, and we're all born in through midwives, all of us. Because we don't have a doctor, we don't have OBGYN doctor, we don't have stylish, that kind of hospitals. We're all born at home, including me. I was born at home. So I was delivered. My mother, I don't know, it's just surprising to me. She survived all these deliveries, without any complications. Now I see how wonderful, how it's this is midwives are really wonderful. The midwives are actually nominated, as you say, they're like assistants. They're trained by somebody. The previous generation trained them. They don't have any official qualifications, but they are trained and well equipped with it to
yes,
deal with the natural pregnancies. No problem at all.
yes. When there's no complication, it's fine.
It's
But the problem starts when there's a pair of twins in there. The first baby comes out, but then the second baby doesn't come out, and that's usually
that
when
is
the
the
problem
problem. Yes.
starts. And another thing is, since you mentioned home births, I actually happen to be a home birth too. I was born in Germany, far away. I was born at home, and I was one of the last few generations that were born at home. One of the things we try to avoid is actually birth at home, and the reason is simple. One major cause of women getting sick or dying after birth is infection.
Infection. Yeah.
And so, what we are trying to do is and that's actually part of this focus. We can, with this ultrasound, we can very early on determine by ultrasound when the baby will be born. And if we have such a date, if you have a date when the baby will be born, we can tell the mom, okay, your baby will be born around that time. Please go to a facility where they can help you give birth, a clean facility where things are, not not like at home, which is sometimes, not, as far as hygiene is concerned, not in a very good place to be. So they can present to places that are specialized in to give birth, like birthing centers. And I'm sure they have that same thing in India as they have in the Philippines. And then they can be taken care of there. So that's another way to, reduce the risk of the moms basically getting sick and dying from the pregnancy.
Another aspect is the nutrition. Just a lot of people, they may have the resources there. Sometimes they don't even know what are the nutritious things to eat at that time. They didn't lack of education, folic acid, for example. So how do you, this is to be trained. This is the Western medicine can help in that direction a little bit. Can you expand on the nutrition side a little bit for these expectant mothers, Dr. Haller?
Yeah, well, that's actually, so we talked a lot about ultrasound, but the second big piece that we do with our nonprofit organization, Life Matters International, is we try to educate the moms or help the local staff to educate the moms. Why? Exactly for the reason that you just mentioned. There are many things that the moms can help to reduce the risk. Number one is nutrition. Some of the mothers are anemic. They can be helped with that, with medication. Um, there's other things that help them through the pregnancy. Understanding that if they have hypertension, for instance, which is a very common cause now in the developing world, hypertension is a very common prevalent disease. If they have hypertension, they are at higher risk for the pregnancy. They're also at higher risk of dying. So if they understand that they need to be treated, that they, for instance, need to lose weight, or that they need to eat less salty foods, that is very important. So we are trying to educate the moms in many of these things. Hygiene is another one. Vaccinations is another one. Oral hygiene is important. Women who brush their teeth or who do not brush their teeth, that is associated with low birth weight of children and a higher morbidity and high mortality of the children. So we try to teach the moms what to do. And you mentioned Western medicine. Many times that's not even necessary.
Yeah,
as long as and we try in the Philippines especially, we try to be very culturally sensitive and we look at what they eat and what their diet is, and we look at those parts of the diet that may be risky, and we try to teach them, this may be tasting very good, but it's not really good for your weight, or it's not really good for your baby when you have it inside you. So, but that's a really important part of our work.
Education is the critical component of the whole pregnancy, as you said. Now the point of care services, now the technology improved it. For example, my friend in Silicon Valley, I love to introduce him to you, is a exo imaging, is just a probe, a small probe. You can connect to the iPhone or just phone, and then they can do the ultrasound right there at the point of care services. People like you, then you can immediately can transfer the images to you. People, as a radiologist, you can diagnose right on the spot while they are doing it. You can do that. Is it that helping in the future? It's going to have making a difference in the maternal mortality rate and the saving mothers' lives.
I, I, I'm absolutely convinced that this is going to play a major role. One concern with the telemedicine that we came across is that many rural areas don't always have good internet, or they may not even have electricity. So in the area that we will go next year, Life Matters International will have another project in a remote area of the Philippines that used to be a former leper colony. They don't have electricity 24 hours. And so it's important to do preventive, but once things happen, the electricity may not be there. So I think the combination is going to be important. Absolutely. I think telemedicine will be key to reaching people in remote areas. There's no question about it. There's too many projects that have proven that already. But I think combining that with training the local physician extenders in doing these routine examinations, and in training them to teach the patients themselves, so that the patients are aware of what to do. Because prevention is still better than treating once it has happened.
Your concept of physician extenders is a really very impressive. I like that concept. I mean, you're adding already the existing infrastructure, just adding a little bit of twist to it. So that's much easier to implement it rather than reinventing the wheel. You know, Western doctors go there, oh, you don't have this surgical lab, we don't have this one, all. You know, my village has no electricity or no running water, but still I was born, you know, because now even my village has a lot of them have a cell phone coverage is wonderful. Even in Africa, they're saying, you may be better judge than me, that the coverage of the internet may not be there, but the cellular coverage is quite a bit extensive. My understanding is, so you can use with the low resource settings, you can use the technology to do the diagnosis, basic, you know, if there is a twins are there or not, the placenta problems are
Yes.
there. You
Yes.
can, per person like you can diagnose from here, from a long way, from a, to do that kind of thing. Do you agree? Is that is that coverage of the low, even cellular coverage itself, it plays an important role, you know, saving mothers' lives.
Absolutely. I just allow me to say one thing about doing this remotely from here. Um, the what we're trying to do is we're trying to help them help themselves, and to keep it sustainable, we're trying to. So when our nonprofit goes there and does such a project and train these people, what we do, we go for 2 years. Life Matters International goes into a municipality for 2 years, and we we do repeated missions. So we go there for a week, then we leave, then they practice what they do, then we come back for a week, we increase that, we do quality control and those kinds of things. But the aim is that we eventually leave. We eventually will go away and we'll go to another place, and they should be self-sufficient. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to establish a quality assurance system, like a local connection. So, like, for instance, a radiologist in the capital of Manila who does not want to live in the periphery, but if we can create that connection to the periphery, then they can be self-sustaining, and they don't need, people from America or from Europe travel, 10,000 miles to do that for them, or do that in addition to what they do every day. Because, as physicians or medical staff, there's a lot of people who are suffering from burnout right now. They're getting morally injured by tighter schedules, more and more patients, less and less time. So it's going to be hard to sustain that from a distance.
In countries like India, or India may be a little bit better off than a lot of those peripheral countries. They don't have enough radiologists to read it.
Yeah.
So one of the thing is that, I'm always surprised, but that's one thing that's why I created an app. I send you one time my software, that app that I was trying to make with my daughter, to do what is it all over the world. People, anybody can join and then read some of these ultrasounds, for example, just to help them. The
Mhm.
next step is just to fill up that gap, that the critical gap of the skilled physicians, to do that gap a little bit would help. That it takes a long way, from that, is it a high risk pregnancy or not, or something like that. It would be helpful. Would you that, even though you're extending, I would you suggest another idea, is that maybe small radiology schools, like a assistant radiologist, like a radiology techs, that
Mhm.
we can train them to read to some extent and assess them, the better than nothing. You don't need, it doesn't need to be the certified radiologist from the United States, but you can do, somebody from locally can train to read some schools that should be opened up in this area. What do you think, the world is ready for that kind of a radiology assistant school? For we have here radiology physician radio assistants can read, some of them here in this country too. So is the think that idea of thinking is the right thinking, or what is your advice on that one?
it's there's no wrong thinking anywhere. Okay, that being said, though, it remains an economical question.
Yeah.
People like radiology assistants or radiology technologists, they don't earn that much money, and they have a life here too. So you will depend on people doing this in their own free time in order to make it affordable, or to make it in a very affordable way, so that it can be applied to so many countries in the developing world and so many people. um, I think I think we will probably get further if we use the know-how here to teach people locally. Uh, and and the Philippines is a good example. The Philippines is trying very hard. It's defined as a lower middle income country. They're trying very hard to implement universal health care. So they're actually trying to get where we are, and maybe even further than here in the United States, with universal health care. But they're still struggling. So they have to create the structures that will enable them to do better. I mean, right now in the area that we're currently working, we have we have one physician who's taking care of about 30,000 patients.
Huh.
Okay, that's tremendous. Okay, that
That is
physician is
tremendous.
totally overworked and cannot really take care of these people like we do here. So this physician then has like five midwives or 10 midwives and five nurses. Now that physician relies on those people to kind of delegate the work. And that's where we realize that's where the potential really is. If we can augment that, if we can augment the quality of what these people do, we don't need additional workforces. We can help them do higher quality work and take care of more people at the same time.
You don't know, with the artificial intelligence, with this, you can detect a lot more with just by putting the probe itself. You can reveal a lot of things in the future that could be helpful. And second part, I wanted to ask you, that is artificial intelligence is one of them. The second part is there's a people like you all over the country, all over the world, nurses, doctors wanted to help the pregnant woman, particularly maternal. They truly wanted to help.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to hurt the woman who is giving a life to other life. So how could they get frustrated? They don't know how to participate. People like you are very few of them. So there is a not much well known around. There is no vehicle for them to really do help in that direction. What would you do that? What would you suggest to those kind of people who are waiting in the wings?
Okay, good, excellent questions. One can tell that you have been working in this or thinking about this area a lot, and you've been exposed to this area. Thank you so much for those questions. AI is an excellent tool. It's really an excellent tool, and it's extremely promising, especially in the field of diagnostic imaging. Um, we our group Life Matters International, we are actually partnering right now with a company that makes these small handheld ultrasound machines. That originally, maybe some of the viewers may not know, originally those machines they filled the whole room, then they became smaller, then they're like big boxes that you see in the hospitals now. Then they created them like in a laptop kind of size, and now they're like
Then further
really
down.
this big. Um, and so we're partnering with one of those companies that produces these, with their research department, and working. They're using artificial intelligence, and we want to use it specifically for our purposes, for for this POCUS, point of care ultrasound. When we take measurements of the fetus, they have to be taken at very defined and specific places, and you can do damage if you don't do it correctly. Artificial intelligence can help with that. In this company, we will pilot for them um, an artificial intelligence program that will help will help in during the examinations to identify the correct sites where to measure. So this will, if this really works well, if we find out that this works well, it will revolutionize what we do, because now we can train even more people, and they can do that in a much shorter amount of time, um, and and spread this kind of technology much further. So that's to your question number one. Uh, Question number two: what should these people do? Well, the easy answer is join our group. Life Matters International always needs volunteers, and we understand that many people want to help in developing countries, and they want to do that by going there. They don't just want to help from afar. They want to go there. There's a little sense of adventurism and wanting to be there and wanting to do something hands-on. Um, and what I would say to those people is look very carefully at the companies or the programs that you travel with. Um, Many of these missions are like what you described earlier. They go there, they take care of patients for a week, and then they leave again, which is a nice thing to do. You come back from such a mission and you feel really good about yourself. You feel like you've helped a lot of people, but it does have some problems. It has problems with follow up. Those patients are not being followed up. It has a problem with complications. Medications don't only do good, they also have side effects. How many problems are you causing with the medications that you give those patients when you're there? Um, um, Cases that need follow up, or cases that may be getting some treatment there. Now, when a medical mission comes in, it gives them different medications. They may disrupt the current medication regimen, and they may disrupt what's actually happening with the patient. That is a problem. Um, and there's another problem that many people don't look at. Um, Governments in developing countries that are in charge of doing, or that actually get money from their central governments to take care of people in their areas, they're very happy when a bunch of Americans come and take care of their patients for a week. They will advertise that, and they will say, well, we bring you American doctors and they will take care of you. At the same time, they can reduce the amount of money they spend themselves on healthcare and use it for other projects. So there is the danger of discouraging local politicians from doing what they're really supposed to do, which is to promote the healthcare for their constituents. So
That
all these things play a role. And so my advice to those people would be look very carefully at what the missions do, the mission that you want to join. It's nice to directly take care of people, but it's probably better and more sustainable and more helpful if you are there and you teach somebody how to take care of people. If you
my
do that,
next
then the know-how will stay and people will profit long term.
my next question, you already answered it. How the local governments and the central and federal governments work with you and also that, as you said, that there is a danger pitfall to it. They misuse that funds into something else. So you created that, you put that back, make sure that that day is still allocated that funds to be secure for that woman. Still, it is you're a temporary fix. You're not. It's a very good point you made, that people don't realize it, how important it is.
Yes.
Then I'm going to present this a topic on CV Raman. After that, I come back and ask you: a blind woman in India is diagnosing the breast cancer that you said. I want to
Yes.
talk about that when you get back. And let me present while you're also with me, and I'm going to present. You can jump in any time in my presentation. Very quick presentation of the CV Raman. Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman is a this is a let me I think that oh my God, I thought that I did, but okay. But anyway, I'm going to presentation of the little bit. It was a little bit hasty day today, but I'm going to put this in the bottom. Okay, now we can see. This is a Raman. I'm going to talk about Raman a little bit while I am uploading that video. Just unfortunately, there's a video there, and that I'm going to do the uh, CV Raman video that I wanted to. That's a. I hope I can find this video somewhere. Yeah, videos. Just a minute. Give me 1 second. Is a lot of challenges now
Yeah, no, this is a
today.
it's a
But
very
anyway, I'm. Let me. I will do the presentation. I will do the presentation. Just to let me. So you can do with the Raman applications. Raman is. I wanted to give a little bit of a. Let me. Let me. MedBricks. Let, I made a video on Raman. I went to play that. Oh yeah, YouTube.com. Just a minute, and just I know it is today was a little bit of a very odd. I never had this problem. Today was a little bit of a strange thing happened. Uh,
that's okay. That's what happens in a live program.
it's a lifetime. And CV Ram Chandra, I had a very good video on Chandrasekhar Venkat Raman, and that. And let me. I hope. Yeah, very good. I found it. That's good. Yeah, I'm going to present about. I'm going to do the. I hope I can do this. Present to share. Share this button and CV Raman. Share the audio. Share the audio. Okay. Can you see this the video, Dr. Heller?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman. He was born in Tiruchirappalli, state of Tamil Nadu, India. His name is long with numerous alphabets, but get used for it because the next few decades belongs to this man. He is descending from heavens to destroy cancer. Just not cancer, he is omnipresent in every field: science, medicine, technology, engineering, and even theology. Welcome to the world of Raman gadgets. Raman probe. Point Raman probe to anyone and just click flash, just as you do on your phone. It gives instant result that person has a cancer or not. No elaborate testing, no other diagnostic testing required. Cancer detection in seconds. Raman pen. Raman pen, point and click at the finger and tell you the blood sugar levels instant. No more shedding of blood drops by millions of diabetic patients. Raman scanner. Just place your hand gently on the Pharmanex Raman scanner. It gives you the fruit and vegetable intake and in correlation with the antioxidant activity in your body. By monitoring antioxidant levels may help you to prevent some diseases. Raman inspector. Raman inspector, a handheld instrument, is an invaluable tool for law enforcement. Just point and click, it identifies the counterfeit drugs. Just point and click and can tell you it is a cocaine or any other illegal substance on the spot. No labs, no other testing required. Just point and click and can tell you right there if it is a hair gel or explosive material in the container without opening it. Raman reporter. Just point and click and instantly tell you if that is a true Picasso or not. No other verification required. This is done deal. It is just taught. Raman optical tweezers, Raman microscope, Raman true narc, Raman imaging, Raman hyper, Raman transition, the list goes on. His name is truly omnipresent. This is not a science fiction. This is an extraordinary brilliance of a strikingly tall and dark handsome man from 19th century India.
Can you hear? Can you hear, Doctor?
Hello, my name is Ramana Anamaraju and I have a passion for physics, specialized in allied healthcare and above
Dr.
all
Harold, can
concern
you
for
hear
all
this?
well-being
Yes,
Can
I
you hear
can
the
hear
video?
it.
Pardon me?
Yes, I can hear it. Yes.
Okay, very
of
good. Okay.
humanity. Sir Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman, usually referred as C.V. Raman, was born in 1888 near Chennai, India and died in 1970. He discovered groundbreaking quantum phenomena in the field of optics while he was working as a professor of physics at University of Calcutta, India. He was knighted in 1929 by Queen of England and awarded Nobel Prize in 1930, first non-Caucasian ever to win in the field of science. His discovery is called Raman effect or Raman spectroscopy or Raman scattering, which are named after him. We only see objects, including people, when light falls on them and reflect back to our eye. But once in a while, the reflected light also gives stunning details about the molecular and atomic structure of the reflected matter, like a rotational and vibrational energies of the molecules or atoms. This unique reflection was discovered by C.V. Raman and it is referred as a Raman scattering, along with few other names. With humans, Raman scattering gives exquisite details about the cell structure and its function like no other modality we ever seen before. Raman effect is the only way you can identify rotten apple from real ones without touching, smelling or cutting. This non-destructive method is unique to Raman discovery, so thus makes an invaluable tool in the field of medical diagnostics without exposure to any radiation. A perfect tool for law enforcement without opening containers to check for explosives. A perfect method to check the authenticity of the age-old art without using any chemicals. Raman scattering analyzes vibrational and rotational spectra of the target material by using a non-destructive method. Cancer. At present, one of the most advanced methods of detecting cancer is through positron emission tomography, referred as a PET scan. This highly expensive and complicated equipment occupies 10,000 square foot office building or placed on 18-wheelers. The average cost for this procedure is around $4,000. Imagine exam that combines into a single scan the diagnostic imaging power of 10 PET studies, each measuring an essential dimension of cancer's aggressiveness, metastatic potential, and susceptibility to the radio and chemotherapy at the cost less than $25. Raman spectrometer, uh, handheld Raman spectrometer can deliver that punch with a style. By attaching gold nanoparticles to the cancer cells, Raman spectrometer hunts every one of the cancer cells, identifies them, and kills them with a nano-heated guided missiles. Well-respected magazine Diagnostic Imaging describes Raman spectroscopy, a quantum physics technique puts all preceding medical imaging modalities to shame. Raman, the cancer avenger, descended from heavens to rescue mankind from this fatal disease. Raman puts cancer detection is at our fingertips, figuratively and literally. C.V. Raman may be Hindu, but his discovery recanted the rituals in the church that happened centuries ago during early Christianity with stunning details. Santorio delle Peregrina, 13th century historical church sitting near beautiful Cantabrian mountains in Spain. The church completely lost its original Romanesque mudéjar brick architecture through centuries of rituals and tourism. It is impossible to recreate the original architecture with all its colors and beauty since there was no historical data available. Raman spectroscopy came as a surprise savior for the church. Raman spectroscopy took layer by layer the centuries of environmental destruction, the dust left by oil lamps in 13th century rituals, natural decay of the bricks. Raman, Raman spectroscopy brought back the original image of the architecture with the stunning details. In recent years, 13th century Pilgrim Church was remodeled to its original architecture with all its beauty and grandeur. Thanks to Sir Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman, a true scientist and a true patriot of India. In the field of medicine, Raman spectroscopy coming with a true revolution. You can literally test for cancer with the handheld instruments at primary care offices or even at a boutique drugstores in coming years. By catching the disease such an early stage, dramatically reduces the cost of this fatal disease. A man from heaven gave a remarkable gift to humans. I am proud to share part of his name. Thank you for listening.
That is the that is let me bring back my thing. Okay, now this is the let me bring back Dr. Both of us in the okay. Why it is not doing that? Yeah. Okay. So there is a why you yeah. Let me these things. Let me close this. Okay. Stop sharing. Yeah, that's good. Now I'm going to bring it a little bit. Today was a little okay. Are you? There is a show in 1990s. There was a show called "Are You Smarter Than Fifth Grader?" In the "Why Sky is Blue, Why Ocean is Blue." These are the questions the fifth graders used to ask, and there is a program to make fun of. A lot of people don't know exactly what that is. So actually, the questions are simple, but the answer is a little complicated than everybody can explain. And this is a question, fifth grader question, but it is a really tough question to his answers are a little bit challenging. So actually, this is the scattering. The reason you see the ocean's blue or the sky is blue because of it's called scattering of all the dust particles, all the atmosphere we have. The white light coming from is a composition. It has all the other lights together. Composition we all know from high school that particularly the dust particles, the pollutants, all of them in the atmosphere. There are certain wavelengths exactly connected to the blue wavelength. So when the blue light hits these particles with exactly same wavelength, they reflect 100% of that. That is called a Rayleigh scattering. Is a Lord Rayleigh from England. That's why you see the blue sky because the sky is all a reflection of the reflection of the blue light from the particles, dust particles, and the atmosphere and the nitrogen and all those things. So that's what you see in the evening. Same time that what it does is when you have a longer in the sun is in the sunset, you see the longer time it travels through the process, and then the you see the red light left and the blue light pass through, and then you see the orange light on the sky. That's the reason Rayleigh scattering. That's a complete reflection. Is a basically a reflection of the material. That's called elastic scattering in the core. But there is in 1929, 1921, the C.V. Raman was traveling from England to India. He went to a conference there. He's coming back, and he saw the ocean is blue. He said that his ocean is blue not because of the reflection of the sky, but he realized it's something more than that. It's actually the reflect. It's basically a lot of water molecules and the water polluted algae and all these things cause that blue color actually. But he wanted to investigate further. That what he found out is an amazing discovery he did. That is called a Raman discovery that I mentioned. Raman scattering is a particular scattering. So 90 the reason able to see you or able to see the television because everything is reflecting back 100% reflection that able to see Dr. Haller because I could able to see him because everything is reflection. But there are certain when the light falls on it, 1 in 1 million photons interact with the matter with the light and the matter interaction. So when the light falls on the matter, any matter that interacts, particularly it's a bodies like human bodies or biological samples, it is much more important. So it reflects two things. Raman scattering 1 in 1 million photons, either they gain energy or they lose energy. That is called the blue light is a Raman scattering positive. The red light is they lost the energy. So Raman scattering happens very, very small quantity, minute quantities in the this one interaction with the samples itself, either matter, any matter, is a biological or a regular matter. It interacts with it, and then it produces that interaction there. So that's why it is a 1 in 1 million photons. So the Raman scattering, what happened was he won the Nobel Prize for that. So immediately, that that was validated by John Hopkins physicist Robert Boorde, validated that this 1 in 1 million photons reflect. They do interact with the biological samples, interact with the matter itself, and then gives you a different spectrum. So the Raman scattering was named after him, and it was validated by John Hopkins, and then he was awarded Nobel Prize in 1930. He was knighted, and then Nobel Prize was awarded to him in 1930. He won the Nobel Prize in physics, first non-Caucasian science. So, but the C.V. Raman is already, I made the video. The second thing is I want to show you a little bit more. So what is this is a Raman spectroscopy. Further extent is an amazing qualities gas. If it falls on for example, if it falls on the cell structure, if you can capture the rotational vibrational spectrum, you can get entire cell inside mitochondria. It can distinguish between the different things. Right now we cannot do, if you regular microscope, you cannot find the differences. Now with Raman spectroscopy, you can tell exclusive details. With the mitochondria, with the anything nucleus, it can tell you the differences in all the cell structures with the vibrational spectrum and rotational spectrum. How does it do that? Actually, Raman spectrum went into hiding for a while because Raman spectroscopy is a 1 in 1 million, is a too weak to detect. So it is actually went hibernation. Everybody ignored after they invented the Raman spectroscopy. The excitement died down because that is a 1 in 1 million, is hard to find, a very weak signal. So they could not able to do it and went dead for decades. Then the invention of lasers came in. The invention of Raman effect revival came after 1960. Bell Labs invented the lasers. As you know, light amplification or stimulated emission of radiation. You amplify the light, and then that causes that. 1960, the Bell Labs invented. Then Raman effect came back with a vengeance. What they did was, in the Raman vengeance, is a single molecule. Then the next advancement came in. That is an amazing advances came in. It's called surface enhancer Raman scattering. They call SERS, surface enhancer Raman scattering. It is a revolutionary in molecular imaging. What did they do is, they put a sample, is take a biological sample, you put a gold nanoparticles on the top of it. When you sprinkle the gold nanoparticles, it has a special kind of a features in it. Plasmonium is basically what it does is, biological sample interact with the gold nanoparticle, amplify the signal. You send the laser, and then already amplified, and then further amplified 10 to 1, 10 times amplified through the gold nanoparticles. Then the details it comes is, you can read even a single molecular pathology, one molecule pathology, you can read it. That is amazing power of the Raman spectroscopy, is a one molecule, you can read it, what's going on within that molecule. It is that powerful, the surface enhanced scattering, power of the scattering of surface enhanced scattering. So the next one is surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy is used actually in, they use it in Philippines and, in other countries, China, for example, Fujian region in province of China, they eat a salted fish. They found out the salted fish is connected with the nasopharynges, right? Fringes. And I'm not a doctor to see that. So you can do that. Nasopharynges. It's a kind of a cancer, carcinoma. It's a cancer of the throat, some cancer of the throat. That is caused by the salted fish. There is a direct correlation between the salted fish they eat and the throat cancer. We don't know exactly the details of it. We don't understand it, but there is a correlation between the salted fish and the throat cancers. So what they did was, but it's hard to detect. It's very, very difficult to diagnose that problem. So what the Raman spectroscopy did, that Raman thing, is surface enhanced the saliva. You can take saliva, just simple saliva, you can detect the cancer way, way in advance. So their survival rate can increase this much higher with this one. So that's a direct use of surface enhancer scattering, Raman spectroscopy scattering. You can see, and now they are using in South Korea. They have you can spit into the saliva. You can check the. You don't need a genetic testing, PCR testing for the COVID. You can do with the saliva. You can do that. They already developed that testing in Korea. But Raman probes, as you already, is the one of the power of the Raman probes are they're spectacularly portable, extremely portable, and they're lightweight. You can go there and check it out anywhere. That is the power of that. In India, for example, we have a lot of fake medications. They do. India is full of fake medications that we need to check it out, because of the particularly diabetic medicines, metmorphin. They give a lot of wrong combinations. You can check it out through this Raman probe in seconds. It has a library. It connects with the libraries and checks it out. All those things. This is a future of the medicine. Raman came back with a vengeance with the power of Raman scattering. So the actually Raman probe is a vivo that you do live imaging. When you do brain surgeries, you can do with a live Raman probe pen. You can see that they are doing in John Hopkins. Dr. Henry Brem does that neurosurgery, does with the Raman pen. You can see the fluorescence, the lights are all, the cancer cells all lighten up, and then you can excise them, and you can surgically remove them. That is an advantage of the Raman probe. You can lighten up those cancer cells escaping from that boundaries. So breast cancer is another one. Now biochemical changes, vibrational spectrum can do biochemical changes. You can do that. The breast cancer is one of the biggest we'll talk about Dr. Haller about that, about the India blind woman, detecting the breast cancer. That's what he said, in his blog. I want to just let us talk with him about that. But Raman scattering is a counterfeit drugs, as I said, that in India is a bigger problem. We can detect it with Raman probe. Raman alien life right now, NASA is to look for the life. NASA is called a Sherlock. They call scanning habitable environmental with a Raman luminescence. That's the name of the, NASA had never come up with the good names, but Sherlock is good name. Is a scanning habitable environmental with a Raman luminescence is the one looking for life in Mars right now. The Perseverance rover, it is looking at it right now, the life in Mars. So Raman looking for a biological life in other planets right now. But the question I just did that in the question is, Raman Jesus is married or not? Raman answered the question actually for interesting thing. Jesus, they found a cloth or something like that. I'm not sure, a document or some kind of a piece of pepper they call. I'm saying that they found a document in 2000 years. It's actually during the Jesus time. It mentioned the Jesus wife name. So they wanted to check it whether they really authenticate that document is 2,000 years old during the Jesus time or not. They found out, yes, it is. He doesn't have the direct proof of that Jesus married or not, but what it is the document is written and mentioned the Jesus wife there. It is actually 2,000 years old during the time of Jesus that was written. So I'm not don't get all the religious jealousy. Don't come on me. I don't know anything about it. Just I'm not a Christian even. So I'm giving you the example of Jesus, of the Raman spectroscopy did that revelation of that process. It is only mentioned that document belongs to the 2,000 years old. That is mentioned about the Jesus wife while he is alive at that time. So that is the document is authenticated. It is during that time. So Raman spectroscopy produces a lot of things. One of the questions is always Raman spectroscopy asks the right questions, and the nature still will open up the doors to your secrets. That's always, I believe. My father was like that, and Dr. Haller is exploring the world. Now let us talk about this interesting concept of blind woman diagnosing. It's I'm from India. I didn't know that. Let me bring Dr. Haller back to the thing. What do you think of my presentation, Dr. Haller?
Well, it's very interesting, and unfortunately, I'm a radiologist. I do know my imaging physics. I don't. I have never heard of this Raman spectroscopy, and so I'll look into it, but I have no.
It is a
I,
new.
that's
It is
that's
a
not
new,
that's not
actually.
that's not my area of expertise.
Yeah, it is an
So,
optical, right? In optical imaging, it's a very new. It's coming. It's a very new kind of field. The advanced research, Raman spectroscopy is a very is still in the developmental stage. It is not surface. Just less than a decade ago, surface emission, surface enhanced radiography came in. Surface enhanced gold nanoparticles. They're all coming up very new. So you will be listening, you'll be hearing that by the time. My thing is that they came in a village in India. He is from a small town in India. He was a Chennai, but his father went to my same school as mine. Uh, but the inventions were done there. We are not taking advantage of it now. United States and the other foreign countries have to do a lot of these things and bring it back to these kind of things to the table. That is sad. That is we need to take advantage. India and other countries need to take advantage of their the native scientist inventions and pay attention to them. But let me go back to your. Yeah. You should do the research. Raman spectroscopy is well, there is a lot of literature on the Google, on everywhere you can find it. Raman spectroscopy is well known among the scientists, among the physicists. They all know about the Raman spectroscopy. It is not reached the medical field that pervasive, because it still is in the process of doing that. We are very beginning stages at this time. You will be hearing it over next 1 or 2 decades. You will know Raman spectroscopy is the effect on the Raman spectroscopy. But before Raman, during the Raman time, that we don't have anything. My father is the doctor. He was checking all the people with the pulsology. So you're saying that there's a blind woman checking the mammogram, the breast cancer in India. Tell us a little bit about that. I was very curious about it. What he said.
well, this is not something that I reported,
Yeah.
but it was a report that I saw with interest, and I think it was a German physician who kind of became aware of that and thought that in low resource areas, if you have blind people and they have because the theory behind it is that when you lose one of your senses, your other senses become more developed because your neurons in your brain reconnect and readjust. So your other senses become stronger, and they found that when blind people just feel breasts, that they are more able to find a small tumor that one can feel. They're more sensitive than other people. So this would be a tool if you have nothing else. If you don't have imaging, this might be a tool to diagnose cancer earlier. Now, and that's the key in cancer treatment or cancer screening. You want to find cancers at stages when they're treatable and not when they're not treatable anymore. So to find metastatic cancer, is okay, but it's better to find the cancer long before it's become metastatic. So I find it interesting, but again, these are resources. The time that it takes those women to palpate breasts is a certain amount of time. You don't have a lot of these people as a resource. Is this a method that is helpful to do screening? I don't know. I wouldn't be the judge. Anything that helps in my
Yeah,
in my, in
the
my view.
correct.
So
In low,
if they can show that it actually works, why not?
why not?
In the
In low
meantime,
resource setting, those are the only things available.
yeah,
My father as a DNC, he can do cycle pump or something like that. What that's all the low resource settings. That saving life is a last resort.
yeah,
These are
yeah.
things that you
Every
can
every single life saved is a life saved.
life saved, as you
Simple as
said.
that. Okay, we cannot measure that in any other way. We, I am actually very interested in using ultrasound as a screening tool for breast cancer.
Yeah.
And there are people, especially in India, who are doing that, who are using it, and it's very, very promising. It's something that I think in medicine we have not looked at enough because we're tainted. Our medical science is tainted by developed nations. All right, I mean, we have in the United States, we have mammography everywhere. We have it available. So we don't really see the need to develop ultrasound as a screening tool because mammography is so good. The problem is mammography is also very expensive and it requires a lot of machines. And you cannot do screening in a country like India or like the Philippines with expensive machines if you don't have the money.
Yes.
So that's where ultrasound comes in, because ultrasound is now so portable, has become so small, and is so easily transported anywhere that we need to think more about ultrasound as a screening tool. It's not as good as mammography, but it's better than nothing, and
I,
it's better than blind people palpating.
I
So
didn't know that ultrasound you can, we used to do the ultrasound mammogram we do, and then after that, if there is a dense breast or something soft to eliminate, to rule out the soft tissue or hard tissue, that's the doctors used to order the ultrasound. Now you're saying you can use the ultrasound as a screening tool at the low resource settings. That's an excellent idea,
yeah,
Dr. Haller. That is a, I would like to introduce you, my friend, one of the CEOs of the company, Exo Imaging, right in Silicon Valley. They produce the new one. It's connected to the just iPhone or any phone. It becomes a very small butterfly. Have you seen the butterfly ultrasound? Similar to
mhm.
ultrasound, like that is the probe. Exo Imaging, EXO Imaging. It is also does that same very small portable. It's not even a portable. It's just as big as a mouse. The probe you can
Yeah.
connect it to it.
There's actually a company that is producing an ultrasound device that consists of many little ultrasound elements that fits around the breast. So
Oh,
which is also extremely portable, and that is one that is especially promising because now you have a tool that a woman can put on herself. Okay, it's not complicated to use, and then you can transmit the images. It creates basically an image of the entire breast, or numerous images of the entire breast that can then be looked at by somebody remotely, to find a smaller cancer.
uh,
Again, it's not as good as mammography, but it's better than everything else so far that we have.
I'm curious to know about that, Doctor Haller. You're really serving. You're a physician. You can live in Silicon Valley. You can be very comfortable, but you are taking extra step and doing really great service to the world. People who truly deserve. And I came from that kind of villages. I wish that we have doctors like you all over the helping us during the time when I was growing up. I would have been, my father would have been glad, if he's alive, would have been so glad to meet you, because that kind of things they needed at the time.
Well,
So you're truly a servant of God, servant of humanity, and you deserve all the credit. And I think all the physicians and all the healthcare professionals must really realize what kind of service you're doing. This is an opportunity to join with you in your mission, and then the short or long term missions or whatever it is, and then you come back with the extended idea. Is an excellent idea of giving education to the local resources, enhancing the local resources. It's a great thing. It's truly an honor and a privilege to talk with you, Dr. Haller.
th- thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Those are very kind words. Although I'm not sure. I'm just doing what I can do, and I think I would like to pass those compliments on to all those people that are trying to make a difference. That are trying, and those people, in rural areas of this world, like in your village, like your dad, like those people that stay in those areas and help their own folk. Those those people deserve the credit, because I mean, I'm here, I live comfortably, you know, I was lucky. I was born in a developed country. I've never experienced hunger or anything like that. So it's kind of my duty to do a little bit more than, than just sit around and watch things happen.
So what is your company? Life Matters International, right? Life Matters International, your company, and they can reach you through the Life Matters International website.
So the website is basically Life Matters International, one word, .org. And you can reach us there. People who are interested in volunteering, we welcome people from all walks of life, because these undertakings are more than just what I just mentioned. There's always an organization behind it, a support organization. So we always need people. We need people for website. We need people to solicit funds. We depend on donations. We're all volunteers. So yeah, we need people from all.
I can provide you some volunteers for that job, particularly website and all those things. You're talking about the world. Thank you so much, Dr. Haller. I hope I'm saying your name right.
Absolutely correct.
So actually, I interviewed a couple of people from Germany. Really delightful to talk with all of them. And you're from here now. You're in the United States. You're talking about traveling around the world. My son is a neuroscientist, and he's also a musician. He did a song. He released a song yesterday. I'm going to play that, and then after that, I'll come back and close the broadcast and come back and talk with you 1 minute.
Sounds
okay.
Good.
I'm going to play this, my son's song.
So it all around the world, all around the world, all around the world.
She a fly little diva that be going to my no Khalifa. We should travel to a land Wi-Fi couldn't reach us. Let's hit Rome or the home of the zebras. Either she just won't take a little trip to Ibiza, hit a little window in Indonesia, kick it in Brazil like FIFA, and treat a passport like a visa. Model in France like damn Mona Lisa. Now she wanna dance on the pyramids of Giza and Chichen Itza, land in Geneva, then make it rain bands from the Tower of Pisa.
All around the world, all around the world, all around the world. So it all
Fly me out,
When you wanna jet,
fly me out,
when we coming back,
fly me out.
but you got it like that.
'Cause I'm burning.
Hype when I enter and hate when I'm gone. Nights out in Denver and days I'm alone. Flights out of Kenya straight to Iran, then back to the west, Sierra Leone. Trek to the east like Genghis Khan. She'll twerk in a burqa, it ain't haram. We can spend the winter seeing what the penguins on. To the earth while you play this song. Do it like left, right, up and down. Hit the North Pole and scrub the ground. This goes out to the wanderlust. If you come with us and just
do it all around the world, all around the world, all around the world. Do it all
Fly me out,
when you wanna jet,
fly me out,
when we coming back,
fly me out.
but you got it like that.
'Cause I'm burning.
Tell me how you want it. Let me put you on it. All I wanna
Wanna jet,
Fly me out,
when we coming back.
fly me out.
I think I know the location. We can hit a flex out in India with a mouth full of gold and a bindia. Then get our Telugu and Hindi up. Before we slide to the function, you with me?
Yup.
First we in Goa, where everything's slower. Moving down south till we can't get lower. Down where the weather always on flamethrower. And the women so bad they can charm King Cobras. And you know we won't rush back. Tell your homegirls get on WhatsApp. Till the whole world got love for the fact you a flight club rat. You throw it
all around the world, all around